Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap. This is the Spellbound Remix Workshop. So just take a moment and make sure that if you're following with the instructions that it says remix. If you're working with the original Spellbound collection released in 2021, be sure to go back over to that video and instruction document. This is the remix released in 2022. Fun fact about this, I think this collection sold out faster than any other kit that we've ever released as a special. Very, very popular, and that is why we were able to pull together another collection for this year as well. It's such a fun and gorgeous kit, actually. I absolutely love it. Even if like for Disney trips or whatever you have going on in your life during this time of year, it'd be great even for fall. So I've got my kit here. As usual, I'm gonna just dump off all of the extra embellishments, and I've got my paper here. Of course, I'm using the Fisker's trimmer. This guillotine style is perfect for our use. And then I'm using my accordion pocket file to organize everything into one of 4 pockets. So I'll be referencing these all the time as we trim our papers. If you don't have the accordion pocket file, we can get you set up with one. Just reach out to us at Club Scrap and we'll help you. And in the meantime, don't let that stop you from making your pages. Just have 4 piles, one for each double page spread that we trim the paper for. To begin, I want to take the paper collection and sort the paper into the order that will trim it. So the first sheet I want you to find is what we're calling the castle print. This one is that reverse color with the black kind of in the foreground. And when you find that just one sheet of it, I want you to put it face down and then find the horse print. That too, just one sheet face down. We'll trim both of those. Then we're going to move on to some purple. Now, there are lots of different shades of purple in this, so I want to point out the differences. This is the dark purple, and here we have 2 sheets of light purple. And then there's also like a medium purple in here somewhere. Here it is. Let's just take a look. All right, so I hope you can see it here. This is the light, 1 sheet of dark, and 1 sheet of medium. So let's take the sheet of dark. And another differentiating factor with this paper is it does have a linen, very faint linen texture. Take that one. And then find the medium purple. Okay, so it's going to be a shade lighter. 2 yellows, so both of those are going to be trimmed. A nice bright color for our foreground here, both of those. And then 2 orange, both of those are going to be trimmed. Then find your cut-aparts. Let's see, we're going to start out with the one that has the big frame. There is magic. That one face down, and then the other one with the bright fiery orange strip here, that goes face down. And next, I want you to find one white linen plain. There are 2 total in there. Just grab the one. One side is more smooth than the other, so I'll put the texture side down, followed by black, and then another black. There should be a total of 2. Then the remaining castle print. Next, the other white linen. I again will put the texture side face down, followed by the horse print face down, and ending with the 2 light purple, the same. Those will be last. Flip everything back over to our first sheet, and let's get to trimming these papers. Now, for this first one, it simply goes into the trimmer, facing right side up, and our cut will be at 5 3/4. So if this is your first time with the trimmer, just make sure you find 5. Go to the left 3 vertical columns, 1, 2, 3. Make sure the paper is level at the top here with the guide. Push down on the clear bar. And that's going to isolate just the castle portion and then the carriage portion. Both of these pieces will be going into pocket 1 and 2, and when you file it, I just encourage you to place it like so. In fact, it's so big, I'm just going to take these pieces and put it on the bottom of my pile, bottom of my stack, just so that we don't have to deal with those big pieces out front. Okay, then take this white print, and we're going to rotate it so that the horse is on the upper left corner, and we'll trim at 7 inches. And both of these pieces will go in pockets 7 and 8, but when you do that, don't try to shove them down fully into the pocket. Make sure they're at an angle. Okay, a nice, easy process here for this next one too. It's easy trimming so far. We're gonna cut this at 6. So just a nice whole number here. Make sure you're level at the top, pushing down on the clear bar. And then stack up the 2 6x12s you made. nice and neat. And we'll trim both of them at the same time at 8. With 2 sheets, you really want to stabilize. Then go down to 4. Push down here real firmly. And that's going to give you 6 pieces of paper that are all the same size. Take 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Those will go in pocket 3 and 4. And the other 3 will go in pockets 7 and 8. Medium purple now. We will trim at 6 1/4. Let's rotate and we'll trim at 11 3/4. And that's a really big number to create a small piece. 11 3/4. Then 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. So you made 2 rectangles that are the same size and another one that's narrower. All 3 of them go in pocket or pile 5 and 6. And I regret to inform you that this is a scrap. Now take the remaining purple, medium purple strip. We'll trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Gather up the 3 rectangles that are the same. They go in 5 and 6. This narrow strip is not a scrap. It's going to go in pocket 3 and 4. And then we'll take the next sheet on the pile, 1 piece of yellow. Let's trim this one at 9 and 5 1/4. Rotate. And let's trim this first larger piece at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. That's going to give you 3 rectangles the same. They're all going to go in pocket 7 and 8. And then you've got this narrow strip going in 1 and 2. The next widest strip, this one is 3 3/4 by 12. We're going to do the same cuts that we just did on the other one. So 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Gather up the squares. You just made 3 of them. They all go in 7 and 8. And again, when you have a little piece, this too goes in pocket 1 and 2. Lastly, let's trim this one at 11 1/2. 7 3/4 and 4. This larger one and then the one that's slightly shorter goes in 3 and 4. Then you have one more piece going in 1 and 2, and this little guy 3 and 4. Take the next sheet of yellow and we're going to trim some strips here. The first cuts at 11 1/4. That gives me a 3/4 inch piece. And then slide down to 10 1/2. And then all the way to 6 1/4. Rotate and let's trim horizontally at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Okay, just made 2 nice photo mats here. They're both going to go in 3 and 4. And then you have a narrow strip here that's left. We're going to trim it horizontally at 6 and 3. These 2 pieces are the same size, going in pockets 7 and 8. And this little piece goes into the scrap heap. This is 4 1/4 by 12, and then we'll trim at 8 1/2 and 6 1/4. This large rectangle goes in 7 and 8, and the next skinny one 3 and 4. And the next piece, I want you to put it in the trimmer, and right now it's 4 1/4 inches wide. Let's just trim it down to 4. And pop this in pocket 3 and 4. We created another scrap. Now there's 3 of them. And then these 2 narrow strips go in pocket 3 and 4. Again, at an angle, don't try to shove them down in there. And we're moving on to 1 sheet of the orange. For this one, we'll cut at 9 3/4, and then 6, rotate and trim at 8 and 4. All right, we have 3 the same, all going in pocket 1 and 2. And this next larger piece, we're trim at 9 3/4, 7 1/2, and 5 1/4. Take the larger piece and one of the rectangles, and they both go in pocket 1 and 2. Next, you have 2 more narrow rectangles that are the same. They both go in 5 and 6. And this last larger strip, 1 and 2. Nothing left over from that piece. And let's go on to the remaining orange. We'll trim at 11, 10, and 9. Okay, so that'll give us 3 1-inch pieces. 11, 10, 9. Now we're going to do some narrow strips. Notice I'm letting that paper pile up. Don't move it. We'll go to 8 3/4. I know that's a real small move there. And then 8 1/2, 8 1/4. So some nice narrow strips there. Then move all the way to 7. It's not that far. Next, 5 1/2. And finally, 4. Take the 4-inch piece, rotate it so it's horizontal, and trim at 6. The 2 pieces you just made are the same size, going in pocket 5 and 6. Then what I want you to do is very carefully pick up the entire stack, leaving it in the order that it landed. And that way it's easy to file. Okay, so the first 2 here, and they should be the same width. They're both going to go in pocket 1 and 2. The next one goes in 5 and 6, along with one of those really skinny strips that also goes in 5 and 6. Now you have 2 really skinny guys. Those are going to go in 7 and 8. And then one of the 1-inch strips that we made, also 7 and 8. 2 left. They both go in 3 and 4. If you lost track of that, all those numbers are on those diagrams. Okay, so we're at the top of page 3, step 8. That's the filing of all the pieces we just created. And we're moving on to our cut-aparts. I have to apologize because our little guidelines in the corner of the cut-aparts are extremely faint. So I hope you can see them. Can you see them? What we have to do is remove everything outside of that cut-apart, like on the line and beyond. So what that's going to do is end up turning this piece into a 12 by 12. So I visually am lining up that little mark with the edge, outside edge of my blade, and trying to see. You need to get a special flashlight, or maybe your granddaughter to come in and take a look. And then one more rotation here to remove that last little piece from this edge. And that gives me a 12 by 12 and a series of little scraps that I can throw away. Now, when you trim your cut-aparts, you want to make sure that the narrowest pieces are on the right. That's how I'm going to write the instructions. So if it's facing the wrong way, you'll cut through some artwork, and we don't want that to happen. Our first trim should take us to 11 1/4, and then the blade is going to go right between the pieces of art. And then 10 3/4, 10 1/4. Once again, I'm letting the pieces just land where they land. Do not move them. 7 1/4 and 4. Now, still leaving these pieces, let's rotate this one, and we'll trim and file one strip at a time. So rotate so that the word haunted is on the far right, and then we'll trim at 10 and 6. Now, these frames do have a little bit of a possibility of a fussy cut. And by fussy cut, I mean you're not going to spend, an hour going right to the line here. What I'm looking for and what I find to be very effective on these is just a simple sort of outline cut. So I'm leaving some of the black frame in there, and I'm not going into all the little nooks and crannies of this. I'm doing this just to prove to you how long it really should take to trim around some of these detailed images. So this is going to go into pocket 1 and 2. This next one with the horse, 3 and 4. Haunted, 3 and 4. And then we're on to the next strip. So place it in the trimmer with the mirror on the right, and we'll cut at 9.5, 7, and 4 1/4. All right, Spellbound goes in pocket 3 and 4. The little carriage, 7 and 8. And then the 2 mirrors, 1 and 2. Those can be fussy cut as well. Then you've got your sheet with some tags. So we'll put this in with the tags on the right, the narrow tags rather, and then we'll cut at 10, 8, and 6. Now, sometimes when I'm creating my tag shape, I just eyeball it at my trimmer and just clip off those corners. So by visually kind of looking at the blade as I bring it closer to the tag and adjust as needed, and then lob off those triangular shapes, it works pretty well. It gives you a nice straight cut too. You can do it with scissors, do it with a craft knife and cutting mat if you prefer. If I really wanted it exact, that's how I do it. And that's going to go in pocket 5 and 6. And if you want, you can lob off some more corners on the journaling prompt that's horizontal. And he's going to go in 3 and 4. With the carriage here, I'll lob off those corners and put him in 1 and 2. And then with this spooky tree, this is going to be in pocket 7 and 8. So Jacqueline always tries to design at least 4 journaling prompts. And that goes in 7 and 8, as I said. Now we've got 2 really narrow strips. These are really cool looking. Those are both going to go in 3 and 4. And then the one that says "That's How I Like It," that goes in 7 and 8. And then I can pick up all my wee little triangles and put those in the circular file. Now, one more time, we got to deal with these little registration marks. So I'm going to find the one that I think looks the brightest. That guy right there. Can you see him? Everything to the outside of that line needs to go, and that includes the entire perimeter of the sheet. So put me on pause, and you can go ahead and do the same with yours. Okay, so I've got my 12 by 12 here, and then Keep Your Magic is the border strip that should be on the right, and our first cut at 10 3/4 should go right between those 2 pieces. And then 9.5, 7.5, 5.5, and 3. Rotate. We'll take off our castle at 7, and then 6 and 3. Now here you can use scissors, leave it as it is, or if you happen to have something around 2 3/4 of an inch, like a thin metal die and cutting machine, or a punch, regular hand punch. Either way, totally your designer's choice. This goes in 1 and 2. This other circle, 3 and 4. Our spooky, this one I literally cut out. I just removed all the black. Spooky goes in 5 and 6, and the castle also in 5 and 6. Eat, Drink, and Be Scary, 5 and 6. And now we have a strip that needs to be separated. So make sure that little guy's on the right, and we'll go at 10.5, 7, 3.5. This is another situation where you can remove the corners if you'd like. I will save a little time. I'll stop wearing black. That's 1 and 2. You say Wiccan like it's a bad thing. 5 and 6. Book of Spells, 5 and 6. And then you know it's been a good day when I don't have to unleash the flying monkeys. That's 7 and 8. And then I think all 3 of these last strips, they're all gonna go in pocket 1 and 2. That is the trimming. So I'm gonna set aside my trimmer here, support your accordion pocket file. And at this point, I usually just set it on its back out of the way and take the remaining pieces that you have in your pile. That includes those trimmed pieces from earlier. That'll be in the bottom of the stack, which is fine. And the whole stack will go to the left of the center of my work surface. And then I'm gonna slide the white linen piece to the right. And that's gonna give me the base for layouts 7 and 8. And I know it's backwards, right? 7 and 8, why are we starting there? Well, we right now are just gonna be placing the items from the pocket to the appropriate page and kind of just making sure everything's where it needs to be. We're not gonna stick anything down. Then we're gonna go to 5 and 6, 3 and 4, and 1 and 2, so that when we're done with this dry fit process, layout number 1 will be on top. Everything's in its place. Grab your adhesive, your photos if you want, and finish up those layouts. So after I take everything out of pocket 7 and 8, I like to hold everything in my hand if possible. And now if you feel comfortable doing that, I think it's a great way to deal out all of these elements onto your pages without having to pick up each individual one from the table. I'm going to set this larger piece with the dragon over here flush with the bottom edge on the right side, and then the tree is going to go about 1 inch from the top edge on the left. So we have a little bit of crossover here. Now flanking this 5-inch strip here on the left, I'm going to add an orange paper strip here, and just to kind of create a little contrast between the paper, add some color. And your 3 shorties should fit in here nicely. So I think that my strip is going to have to come down just a hair. Now notice how these 3 pieces fit perfectly spaced across the bottom, and frame them in nicely then with your border. And across the top here, there should be 3 yellow squares. So make sure you're grabbing the squares. And again, the width of the square is 3 3/4, which then allows me to place them in a perfect row across the top. And then we'll add an orange strip. Again, it frames it beautifully with our little title. That's how I like it. 2 purple photo mats. And yes, I know I'm covering, I'm sorry, I'm covering the horse. You can move them to the middle, but then you cover both. Yeah, one or the other, I'm afraid, in this case. And then I have this cute little drawstring bag. And there are 2 more pieces of yellow in here that are smaller. They're the same size. So one of these is going to just provide a little foundation to create some contrast with this little bag. And he's going to go, and we still see the dragon here. And then on top of that, I'm going to add this journaling prompt. It's just a little accent. It's a bag not used as a bag per se. Now on the left side, you'll notice that the dark purple nests perfectly onto the yellow, giving it a nice pop. And then this also nests onto the Cutpaarts. I did use the bat over here, kind of tucked him in, and added a bow for this guy. So on the finished layout now, let's take a look at how that turned out here. We've got a punched hole, and then I just threaded a loop of the purple double-faced satin ribbon through the hole and taped it to the back before I attached it to the little bag. On the other side, you can see I just made a simple basic bow, and if I remember correctly, I used every last inch of that beautiful black cotton ribbon on this page, and this was the last of it. So you may want to just, you'll be assembling this from 1 to 8, right? So this will be the last piece of ribbon. So if you use the black ribbon conservatively, you'll have enough to make the perfect bow to go underneath this piece, which is attached with foam adhesive. And again, I used our bookbinding glue to attach the bat. Just make sure you cover it with something a little heavy to make it bond well with the paper. That'll work perfectly. And this page is really a photo hero. You have so much room for pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pictures. Plus you can put a picture here if you want. Maybe you have all the kiddos out in costume and you want to grab a bunch of pictures. This is the perfect layout for that. All right, so you got this going on this far. Didn't stick anything down, and that's perfect. What you're going to do is pick up that black base of page 7 and slide it on top of 8. and then pick up the black base of page 6 and slide it on top of 7. So that leaves me, it should, everything needed for layouts 5 and 6. And again, this is on page 5 of our instructions. You can see that we've got the right thing going on here. Grab your accordion pocket file and reach in to pocket 5 and 6, pull everything out. And we should be able to distribute all of this from the hand. Again, I do like to use my hand just for easy distribution. I can see right away I've got these 2 purple mats that are larger right on the top. So those kind of tuck in like that. And they get topped with orange to really make it pop nicely. And then there's the skinny piece of purple. I want him to fit right in there. And strategy, right? I really wanted to keep the castle and the carriage visible. So I ended up just like not putting a lot on this page. I don't know, is that wrong? I can't help it. Okay, you've got it haunted. That's going to fit nicely right in there. And then we have 3 more of these medium purple mats. And again, the height here is 3 3/4, trick I use all the time, because then I can film strip them, right? Run them along the line. Perfect. And then we're going to create a little contrast here with the orange. And then neighbor that up with Eat, Drink, and Be Scary. And then this castle just fits right in there perfectly. Beneath it, I'm going to put 2 vertical orange, get nested with these 2 tags. And you can clip the corners of both the tags or the cut-aparts and the mat. Oh, this guy is an anchoring strip that goes behind here. Forgot about him. And I lined it with purple satin ribbon. So if you take a length of this, stretch it across and a little wider, so maybe about 14 inches total. And then that's what goes on top of this to add a little contrast. Okay. And the spooky, this goes under here. There, that's what you got. That's it. Nice and easy, right? On our finished pages, what did I do? Well, here's a really unique ribbon in this collection. We call it a Petersham. And it's neat because it's a grosgrain, but it has this extra loop on the outside edge. And it's a little bit more unique than just your regular grosgrain. I really love this style. Anyway, 2 pieces are attached in each tag. So the first one goes through the punched hole and is taped at the back. A second piece is made by simply tying a knot and trimming the ends. So it's piece number 1 is attached separately, but it looks like it's one piece and like it's super clever, but it's really not. And then I've got this attached with our bookbinding glue. I love that charm. I mean, this is a nice, substantial size charm, but it's super flat, which is perfect for our pages, isn't it? Anything else here? No, I don't think so. On the other page, I attached this clip after clipping the corners and ran some of the orange ribbon through it and wrapped it around to the back. So you can see that purple satin ribbon peeking through. And then we've got that cool charm pairing. So these settings, I spent a lot of time researching size. So the setting and the gem, this millimeter size is perfect shaped oval to fit right in there. And I love how it sort of mimics that whole mirror thing, mirror on the wall kind of thing we have going on with this. So that's going to go in that spot, and it can be glued, both layers, like the charm to the setting with bookbinding glue and the setting to the paper also with your bookbinding glue. And then let's slide it all over and bring one more sheet, the white. And now we've got the base for layouts 3 and 4. You go into your accordion pocket file. We'll take everything out. Let's see if we can get this all figured out. There were a lot of pieces of yellow used in different ways here, so I'm really hoping I did this correctly. Okay, so let's start with our border strips here. We've got a double nest. So we're going to do orange and yellow and black. And then going to match to carry through all the colors, go to the other side. Okay. Let's do this area here. So I'm going to take the larger yellow mat And that's going to go kind of framed out in the lower left corner of the side and then nested with the dark purple. Nice. And then this will go right up next to it. Then we have the squarish Cutpaarts, and then above it and below it, we're adding pieces that match that width. So you have to look for the 4-inch wide. There's a smaller one that's on the top, then the Cutpaart, and then the large one below it. And notice the width is the same. That's what you're looking for to identify which yellow goes where. Now, this little yellow guy, you know, I rescued him from the garbage can. And, you know, I do this a lot. Maybe you're tired of it. You don't have to do this, but it's a great way to use a little scrap, and it just adds a splash of color. So I add a chevron into the tail end of it with scissors, and then I can tuck it underneath a photo mat just to add a little bit of, you know, something. Here I've got the Spellbound thing going on there. I've got this kind of in the middle. And then this yellow rectangle should fit with the haunted sentiment here. On this spot, it's going to fit as well, along with our bag and journaling prompt. What's left? I did the same thing here. I just made the little V cut to carry it over. And you could do it where I've added it, which was here. You could even cut it in half. Let's do this. This is called spontaneity, right? I'm going to add another one in this piece and put it in here. Okay, so that just carries it over. And then this one is a little wider than the yellow. And you can nest them. Doesn't matter that they're not the same length, and just shove both behind there. Ooh, I like it. Got a little circle that's going to be placed kind of right there with this fitting in the middle. And then one of our little bats kind of peeking through there. So I'm going to show you finishing touches here because I think it's the easiest way to kind of talk through it. So punch a hole in the top there, tie a small black cotton ribbon bow, and attach it to the organza bag. There's my little peeking ribbon, or paper rather. Now here, oh yes, and I added the charm, the little setting, the little black setting and the gold gem. Gonna go right there. I just love how that fits. Oh, so satisfying. When that arrived, I'm like, oh, it does fit beautifully. All right, so here, something fun. I punched a hole in the top left and right corners of this Cutpaart, and then I threaded the end of a ribbon, tied a knot. Then I calculated like the loop, tied a knot on the other end, and then I just attached it at the top there with tape. I think it was my ATG tape. He's glued on again with our book binding glue, as are the metal pieces. Works great for, our book binding glue is the perfect solution for metal on paper. And that is 3 and 4. And now here we've arrived at our very last layout together. So I hope you've enjoyed this journey with me with Spellbound 2.0. Yeah, this has been a fun one. I didn't recycle the instructions from 1.0. You know, through the years, I mean, every year, the way I do things changes and updates and improves. And besides, I just wanted to have fun with this. So I did a whole brand new set of instructions for the second round of the Spellbound kit. Maybe you already have the first round and you can complement a single project with this kit as well. Okay, so a nested strip on the left, and then you saw that I've already added the little pieces that we kind of saved on the bottom of our pile. So the castle this is about a 1/4 of an inch from the left edge, and then the castle print, I'm leaving a little bit of that purple shine through. This is flush on the right edge. Now across the top here, I've got some larger photo mats. And I tried to keep that castle visible just because I, again, am in love with the print. And then an orange strip nested with Keep Your Magic. Okay. Then across the top of this, the answering border strip, right? The one that matches is over here. Oh, these fiery colors are so pretty. I'm going to do a vertical and then the horizontal here. And then this is going to be, notice it's the same height. It's going to be the mat again for our journaling prompt. So I kind of went with that theme throughout. Here we have a skinny little orange that nests with this tag. The large frame and the small one with the castle on it ends up here, kind of tucked behind. If you cut it out with that fussy, but not too fussy method of mine. And then this gets that little chevron cut into it and a bat, kind of in this general vicinity. Now we have the circle, and maybe by now you've trimmed out your circle, maybe not. We've got another mirror and this little piece with chevron on both sides with a little piece of ribbon added and a bow, and our final charm combo. Setting combo, rather. Okay, so now here we have our finished for review. Lots of stuff going on. I really had a good time embellishing this page. Maybe I hope I didn't go over the top with it, but I just think it's really a nice layout. Got your journaling prompt here with the orange ribbon just peeking out of the hole. Again, one small piece wrapped around to the back. This one wrapped around to the back of the layout with that black cotton ribbon. And this guy. Now this larger frame is adhered with our foam adhesive circles. Give it a little dimension, and that's tucked behind it with this layering as well. And that little splash of yellow just adds a lot of balance to the page. That's why, why throw it away when it can do so much for us, right? And then here we have like the matching chevron pieces. This anchors my gold frame attached again with foam adhesive. Tuck the circle behind the strip and add our gem and setting little bow, basic bow done with the Petersham ribbon, and you're good to go. This is one of my favorites in the whole set, layout 1 and 2. Reaching the end here, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're not a member of Club Scrap, I invite you to come and join us as a member. You're going to save a lot of money on kits every month. You are permitted to skip, and then we can count on you being here for us as well. I mean, we love to have our members. That's what makes Club Scrap work. So give us a try if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in a workshop again soon. Thanks for joining me.